So Patrick Mahomes, I don't like it. I do not like this pick. I mean, oh, he is 2 years away. 2 years away.
Patrick Mahomes for the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, everyone's talking about Patrick Mahomes like this dude is the second coming of Dan Marino.
When you have a conversation about Patrick Mahomes, there's simply no way to lump him in with the likes of Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, or any other talented quarterbacks out there. Those guys are all incredible, but let's be real. Patrick Mahomes has already forced his way into an entirely different tier, a tier occupied by Aaron Rodgers in his prime, Tom Brady at the height of his powers, and the GOATs like Joe Montana. He belongs in that rare stratosphere. There's no way around it. What we've witnessed out of Patrick Mahomes, starting all the way back in 2018, has been the stuff of legend. He has put together season after season of iconic moments that feel closer to Hollywood scripts than normal football. We're talking about a generational force that doesn't come around very often, not just in the NFL, but in the entire sports. He's in that same conversation as Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, the legends who transcend their own eras.
And I'm like, excuse me, can he play a couple of games in the NFL first? What have y'all seen? I mean, my God.
We're seeing greatness of the highest order, and there's a case to be made that Mahomes might be the greatest quarterback talent to ever put on a helmet. Sure, you'll hear the chatter about penalties, officiating controversies, or the NFL rigging games for its supposed golden boy. People can argue all day, but once he retires, everyone will be scrambling back to watch the highlight reels, the jaw-dropping plays, the MVP trophies, and they'll wish they had recognized his brilliance sooner. Exactly like it went down with Brady. When Mahomes hangs it up, there's no denying he'll be in the pantheon. Right now, though, I'm giving you an opportunity right here, right now, to appreciate his dominance, respect it, admire it. Because there was a time, not that long ago, when plenty of analysts and fans were calling him a bust waiting to happen. People saw him at Texas Tech and complained about his footwork, his backyard style, the inflated college passing stats. They questioned how that would translate to the pros.
You paying him $5-6 million a year for 2 years to wait.
But why you trade up to get him to wait on him? Like, if he's that good, you went over Deshaun Watson. You traded up, but I still got to wait on the cookies. The cookies ain't ready yet.
Benny Aliste, Yonko. Yet here we are, and we've never seen anything quite like what he's done on an NFL field. Let's go back for a second and look at Patrick Mahomes from his college days forward, because that context helps you see just how wild his rise has been. In college at Texas Tech, Mahomes was already operating on a different level. Week after week, he put up yardage totals that most quarterbacks only dream about. He could drop 4,000 to 5,000 passing yards like it was routine. And he made those ridiculous sidearm throws look natural. People were quick to dismiss him because it was a pass-happy system and Tech wasn't exactly a national powerhouse. But if you look at the raw production, he put up some of the greatest passing numbers in Big 12 history. And he often had to do it without a star-studded supporting cast. Mahomes had good receivers at times, but they weren't these unstoppable first-round talents. He was improvising, making magic happen on broken plays, carrying that team every Saturday.
If you're the Chiefs and you're that close, and you can certainly fill holes to put you over the top.
So yeah, scouts and critics saw questionable mechanics, but if we're being honest, those same mechanics were what allowed him to fling a 50-yard bomb off his back foot across his body with pinpoint accuracy. Was he perfect? Absolutely not. But him sitting behind Alex Smith for a full year? That might be the best scenario he could have possibly landed in. A stable organization, a head coach in Andy Reid who fosters creativity, and the opportunity to learn without getting thrown to the wolves immediately. From the moment he was drafted in 2017, you could sense a massive shift in Kansas City. The fans could feel it, the organization knew what they had, and analysts began to pick up on the potential for something historic. And that's Patrick Mahomes in college and on draft day. Unbelievably talented, but overshadowed by question marks. Let's transition into how his NFL career got rolling.
If you're the Chiefs and you're that close, and you can certainly fill holes to put you over the top, why are you drafting a quarterback? Why are you trading up to draft a quarterback that doesn't just have bad footwork, has no footwork?
The Chiefs selected him 10th overall in 2017, which feels comical in hindsight because if we could redo that draft today, he'd go first without a second of hesitation. That year, Alex Smith was still the starting QB, leading Kansas City to a solid season. The Chiefs ended up winning the AFC West with a 10-6 record and went to the playoffs. Mahomes, meanwhile, was waiting in the wings, soaking up every lesson, from how to read NFL defenses to how to maintain composure in pressure moments. Then came his first NFL appearance at the tail end of the 2017 regular season against the Denver Broncos. Nothing too mind-blowing on the stat sheet, 284 yards, 0 touchdowns, and an interception. But if you watched the game, you saw glimpses, flashes of what was about to erupt. Even with a rookie's lumps, he showed a command of the offense that was special for someone making their first start, especially behind a veteran like Alex Smith. Fast forward to 2018. This is when the Mahomes show truly began. Week 1, he posts 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. Week 2, 6 touchdowns, no picks. The guy came out slinging the ball like a seasoned Pro Bowler. Suddenly, every NFL talking head and sports podcast was buzzing about this new phenom in Kansas City. Then we had the epic shootout against the Los Angeles Rams, a 54-51 spectacle that felt more like a video game than an NFL matchup. Mahomes flung 6 touchdown passes in that game alone. By the end of the regular season, he had racked up over 5,000 yards, 50 passing touchdowns, and left the rest of the league blinking in disbelief. That 2018 Chiefs squad ended up as the AFC's top seed, and even though they fell to Tom Brady and the Patriots in an overtime thriller in the AFC Championship, Mahomes had already put the entire league on notice. Kansas City wasn't messing around, and they had found their generational talent. He capped that 2018 campaign with an MVP award, a Pro Bowl nod, and a first-team All-Pro selection. When he won the MVP, there was zero doubt he had earned it. And you have to remember, this was his very first season starting full-time. That's the kind of story that usually only happens in sports movies. Once that season ended, the consensus was crystal clear. The Chiefs were the new juggernaut in the AFC, and Mahomes was the face of the franchise. People just knew if you draw Kansas City in the playoffs, good luck. So let's dive into 2019, the year Patrick Mahomes won his first Super Bowl. Now, I won't spend too long on the regular season stats. He still put up over 4,000 yards, threw for more than 20 touchdowns, and kept interceptions in single digits. But the real magic happened in the postseason. The Kansas City Chiefs secured another division title. Everybody remembers that infamous divisional round showdown against the Houston Texans, where Kansas City fell behind 24-0 early. People in the stadium were shocked. The commentators started writing the Chiefs off, and it looked like a meltdown. Then Mahomes calmly orchestrated a comeback for the ages, turning a 24- deficit into a 51-31 beatdown. By the time that game ended, the Texans were stunned, and the Chiefs had proven that no lead was safe against them. In the AFC Championship that year, Mahomes faced the Tennessee Titans and basically turned them into a highlight reel. He threw for nearly 300 yards, added multiple touchdown passes, plus a jaw-dropping rushing touchdown. The Chiefs won 35-24. Punching their ticket to the Super Bowl, where they faced the San Francisco 49ers, a ferocious defense anchored by Nick Bosa, with an offense that ran the ball down everybody's throat. This was not some walk-in-the-park 49ers team. But, once again, Kansas City faced adversity, trailing 20-10 in the second half, and once again, Mahomes flipped the script in the fourth quarter. That's when he reeled off big play after big play, culminating in a 31-20 Chiefs victory. Suddenly, at just 24 years old, Mahomes was a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP. It had only taken him 2 years as a starter to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. That's some storybook stuff right there. And that championship set the stage for what came next. The 2020 season, where Mahomes and the Chiefs marched right back to the Super Bowl. He put up another monstrous year, 4,700-plus passing yards, close to 40 touchdowns and single-digit interceptions. While Aaron Rodgers ultimately snagged the MVP with an absurd touchdown-to-interception ratio, you could still make a very strong case that Mahomes had the best all-around year in the league. The Chiefs' offense looked unstoppable, finishing 14-2 or 15-1, depending on how you interpret the final game, but they walked into the postseason as the top dogs. In the divisional round, the Chiefs had to rely on Chad Henne to close out a win against the Browns after Mahomes suffered a concussion. Henne sealed the deal with a gutsy scramble and a 4th in inches pass, but Mahomes was back under center in the AFC Championship where they ran through Buffalo 38-24. That set up the long-awaited showdown between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Except that game did not go as planned for Kansas City. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense annihilated the Chiefs' makeshift offensive line, and Mahomes spent most of the night scrambling for his life. He made some unbelievable throws, one of them while falling horizontally, but the receivers just couldn't catch them, and the protection wasn't there. The Bucs dominated 31-9, and for the first time, Mahomes looked mortal in a championship setting. That heartbreak led us into 2021, which was a season of highs, lows, and another deep playoff push. The Chiefs struggled early, and Mahomes wasn't as sharp for a stretch. He had more picks than usual, and the offense felt out of sync. But they managed to correct course, finishing with a 12-5 record that was tied for the best in the conference. Mahomes still threw for nearly 12,000 yards, 37 touchdowns, and a respectable interception total. Then in the postseason, they toasted the Pittsburgh Steelers, then staged a miraculous final 13-second drive against the Buffalo Bills to force overtime. That game, featuring Josh Allen on the other side, was an instant classic, culminating in the Chiefs moving on to the AFC Championship to face Joe Burrow and the Bengals. For the first half of that game, Mahomes and the Chiefs were unstoppable. They jumped out to a big lead and looked primed for another Super Bowl trip. Then everything unraveled after a botched goal-in situation heading into halftime. They mounted a furious comeback, forced overtime, and intercepted a pass. Tyreek Hill. People started to wonder, had the blueprint been discovered to slow down the Chiefs? Would Joe Burrow be the new thorn in Mahomes' side every postseason? Then came 2022. That season quickly turned into another extraordinary chapter for Mahomes. He threw for over 5,200 yards, claimed the single-season total yardage record that Peyton Manning previously held, and notched 41 touchdown passes. If that wasn't enough, he also won the MVP award and the Super Bowl MVP, joining a very select group of quarterbacks to accomplish that in the same season. This was the year he lost Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins, which many people thought would hamper the Chiefs' explosiveness. Nope. If anything, it showcased how Mahomes could make magic happen with a constantly rotating cast of receivers. They earned the top seed once again, overcame the Jaguars in the divisional round, thanks in part to Chad Henne's cameo after Mahomes injured his ankle, and then outdueled Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship. Mahomes had 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, and outplayed the Bengals' rising superstar on a bum ankle. That set the stage for one of the best Super Bowls in recent memory, Chiefs versus Eagles. Jalen Hurts was incredible that night, but Mahomes was unstoppable in the second half, shaking off the ankle pain and leading a dramatic comeback. The Chiefs won 38-35, and Patrick Mahomes walked away with another Lombardi and the second Super Bowl MVP of his career. He'd just gone from losing Tyreek Hill and being figured out by the league to capturing his second ring. Throw in the fact that he captured both the MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same season, and you have one of the most impressive years by a quarterback in NFL history. Suddenly, that Brady versus Mahomes debate got a whole lot more interesting. Now, let's shift to 2023. Coming off 2 rings in a 4-year span, the Chiefs had a shot to do something unimaginable, a three-peat across multiple seasons. But the start to 2023 was anything but smooth. They had injuries left and right, they lost their top receiver for a while, the new additions weren't always consistent, and the defense had to grind out wins in close games. The offense didn't blow teams away like old times, and yet they kept squeaking out victories. The crazy part is that they finished with a 15-2 record, claiming the 1 seed yet again, despite all those bumps in the road. That's when you realize just how scary Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs can be. Even at their worst, they're still better than most teams at their best. So heading into that postseason, the Chiefs had a battered receiving core, a running back rotation that had seen better days, and question marks on the offensive line. But they got hot at the right time. They reeled off some crucial late-season wins, including impressive showings against playoff-level competition. Once that engine started humming, nobody wanted to face Mahomes, especially in Arrowhead Stadium. Nevertheless, the bracket lined up in such a way that Kansas City had to take on the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill looking for revenge. Mahomes held his ground, threw for over 250 yards, and outdueled his former speedster to advance. Next up was an emotional divisional round matchup in Buffalo. The Bills Mafia was screaming for blood, convinced this was the year they'd break through and dethrone the Chiefs. Mahomes did enough to scrape by in a tight, lower-scoring game, aided by some big defensive stands. Before you knew it, Kansas City was heading to Baltimore for the AFC Championship to face the Ravens. A nasty defense and a versatile offense. In a grinding, physical game, Mahomes stayed cool under pressure. He orchestrated a late touchdown drive to claim a 17-10 victory, sending the Chiefs to the Super Bowl to meet the 49ers yet again. This 49ers squad came in looking for revenge, fueled by Christian McCaffrey's MVP-caliber season. The game was a nail-biter. San Francisco clung to a slim lead at halftime, but the Chiefs clawed back in the third quarter, and we ended up in an overtime thriller. Mahomes, battered and bruised, willed the Chiefs downfield, including a clutch 4th-and-1 conversion, and found one of his receivers in the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. Kansas City went back-to-back, capturing the third Super Bowl championship of the Mahomes era, 3 titles in 4 or 5 years, and with the chance to truly call it a three-peat across multiple seasons, cemented what we had all suspected. Mahomes is forging a legacy unlike any quarterback we've ever seen. Now, as if that weren't enough, the conversation shifts to the next year. The Chiefs reinforce the receiver core, address pass protection, and maybe add another weapon on offense. They're starting to get healthy, and rumors swirl that more star talent wants to join them to chase rings. Mahomes is still only 28 or 29, and he has at least a decade left in the tank. The possibility of him matching or surpassing Brady's ring count isn't some wild fever dream. He's on that track, especially if the Chiefs remain cohesive, keep Travis Kelce healthy, and continue restocking on both sides of the ball. We should acknowledge the Chiefs front office, led by Brett Veach, plus their legendary coach Andy Reid, who has nurtured Mahomes' best qualities and given him the freedom to make those out-of-this-world plays. This entire organization came together in just the right way at just the right time to create a modern-day dynasty. So here we stand. If Kansas City does pull off the elusive three-peat and becomes the first franchise in NFL history to do it, Mahomes' status as the GOAT might be undeniable. Critics will say he needs more longevity to surpass Brady's total accolades, but the raw talent is so obvious and the early career accomplishments are so stacked, you wonder how anyone could keep doubting him. It's definitely reminiscent of the LeBron vs. MJ debate in basketball. Mahomes is rewriting the NFL record books in real time. Every playoff run, every MVP, every ring, he's nudging that door open a little wider. Look, I get it. Some people have grown tired of the Chiefs, tired of Mahomes, tired of seeing the same team always in the championship round or the Super Bowl, but let's be real. People hated Jordan when he kept winning. People hated the Patriots when Brady was unstoppable. People hated the Warriors when Steph Curry and crew were a dynasty. Greatness always inspires resistance. The more you win, the bigger the target on your back. But you have to give respect where it's due. From the moment Mahomes took over as the starter, he's been rewriting scripts. He lost that AFC championship in 2018, learned from it, came back, and won the Super Bowl in 2019. He got dominated by Brady in the 2020 Super Bowl, regrouped, then rattled off another ring in 2022, and overcame multiple injuries in 2023. Every time he hits a roadblock, he seems to come back even stronger. That's what sets him apart. He's not a one-year wonder. He's not some flash in the pan. This is sustained brilliance on a year-by-year basis, even as defenses around the league scramble to adapt. For me personally, that's why the potential three-peat is so fascinating. Historically, no one has done it in the NFL. It's something that Brady, Montana, Aikman, Bradshaw, none of them achieved. It's that final mythical milestone that belongs to no one yet. If Mahomes captures it, he instantly has an argument as the single greatest NFL quarterback ever, especially considering the pace at which he's doing all of this. Anyway, I've spent hours putting this script together, and honestly, I'm running on fumes. I haven't slept and I have to go to work in a few hours, but I wanted to get this done for y'all because this is a moment in NFL history that we're living through. Win or lose in the next playoffs, there's no doubt Mahomes has transformed football. We might not fully grasp how special this period is until a decade from now. He's still not even 30. Think about that. Quarterbacks nowadays can play well into their late 30s or even early 40s. If Mahomes keeps refining his skill set, how many more rings could he realistically stack up? 6, 7, dare I say 8 or 9? Yeah, it sounds crazy, but he's on a trajectory that we've literally never seen. If he wins 4 or 5 titles in the next 6 or 7 years, that conversation about him surpassing Brady, that's not hot take material anymore. That's legitimate discourse. Yet the scariest part might be the supporting cast. We always talk about Mahomes and Kelsey, but Kansas City keeps drafting new receivers, new tight ends, building that OL, and revamping their defense. Every time a piece leaves, they just plug another in. The formula hasn't changed. As long as Mahomes is under center, they can outscore anybody any week. That's the sign of a dynasty, when your system thrives beyond individual names. I know a lot of you might be fans of rival teams. You might be fans of the Bengals, the Bills, the Ravens, the Chargers, whoever. And trust me, I get it. Watching the same quarterback run the league can be irritating, but these are the types of careers you look back on in 10 or 20 years and you're like, wow, I was there for that. We're literally seeing history being made. It's the perfect time to appreciate it because once his career is over, all the haters and doubters will turn into fans saying, I always knew Mahomes was special. That's just the nature of sports. Mahomes is the modern Michael Jordan figure who denies other great players their rings, who shows up year after year on the biggest stage, piling up MVP honors and championships. As soon as he retires, the entire narrative will shift into worship mode. If you don't want to miss out, start giving him his flowers now, because once that three-peat, or maybe even more, comes along, you don't want to be the one who overlooked it. I've spent nearly half an hour detailing his journey, from the so-called risky pick out of Texas Tech with unpolished footwork to sitting behind Alex Smith, to the 2018 explosion, to the epic 2019 Super Bowl victory, to the heartbreak of 2020, to the near miss in 2021, to the redemption and MVP, Super Bowl MVP double in 2022, and the drive to cement a three-peat in 2023 and beyond. What else can I say? He's racked up so many accolades. Multiple Pro Bowls, MVPs, first-team All-Pro selections, 2, now 3 Lombardi trophies, and counting. If you hate him, it's likely out of envy. If you love him, you're witnessing the ride of a lifetime. With all that said, it's time to wrap this up. I appreciate anyone who made it to the end of this mammoth of a video script. I hope it was worth your time and that you enjoyed hearing me break down why Patrick Mahomes is not just a talented quarterback, but a once-in-a-generation, era-defining icon who has a very real chance at becoming the undisputed GOAT. I poured a ton of effort into this, stayed up all night doing research, double-checking stats, recalling old games. I just had to give you this massive breakdown because Mahomes' story is still being written, and every chapter looks more legendary than the last. If you enjoyed this video or script, please give it some love, like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. Is Mahomes on track to surpass Brady, or does he need more time? Will we ever see a three-peat in the NFL? It's an exciting time to be a football fan, and an even better time to be a Chiefs fan. Let's see how far Mahomes can push the envelope. As always, thanks for tuning in. Much love to all of you who ride with me through these marathon videos. Until next time, enjoy the games, appreciate greatness while it's here, and never forget, we're watching the rise of potentially the greatest quarterback in NFL history right before our eyes.